I'm not Irish.
You don't sound Irish.
I need to make this clear. No part of me is Irish. I don't have Irish parents or grandparents or anything. I'm Italian. Well, my parents are anyway.
So what were you doing at an Irish dance? Don't the Italians have dances?
Yeah, and I wouldn't want to tell you the one. They behave like Italians all night.
What does that mean?
Oh, you know.
No.
Hands.
Too many of them.
I don't know. I guess it could seem that way if he was a girl. Listen. I want everything out in the open. I came to the Irish dance because I really like Irish girls.
And I was the only one who would dance with you.
Oh, no, it wasn't...
Oh, so you danced with loads of others?
Hi, y'all. Welcome to Flyby Films, a once or twice a month podcast that, using the magic of lightning speed internet, I get to meet with my friend Blake Collier and discuss films that have either been forgotten or will be forgotten. I'm Jamison Barsotti, and as I mentioned before, sitting next to me is Blake Collier. And today we're going to be talking about not just one movie, but two movies. This is our first double up episode, I guess.
You know, Jamison, it just occurred to me when you said that it's starting to feel like we're putting effort into this.
Oh, I'll dial it back.
No. I was saying the fact that we're doing two movies instead of one, that elicits the idea of effort. And
well, will it help if I admit to the fact that I definitely fell asleep in both of these movies, at least for 10 minutes?
But isn't that the way you always watch movies?
That's pretty normal. That is pretty normal for me.
I feel like there's not a single movie that there's probably 10 minutes in every single movie that you actually have never seen before.
Yeah, that's true. There's 10 minutes missing from every movie.
Which makes every movie incredibly, incredibly intriguing. Because there's some part of it that you have no clue what just happened.
Well, what I do is I go back and I rewrite all of those scenes that I missed. Just make them connect. And so really the movie that lives inside my mind is different than the movie that is inside anybody else's mind. So
I hate to break this to you, Jamison, but that happens to everyone.
No, I know. We talked about this. But I'm just saying that mine is absolutely different. So anyway,
you're just saying what?
I'm just saying what?
You're just saying what?
Oh, well, I was just saying that that movie is actually different in my head than yours.
That's fair.
I know we had a whole episode on that, right? Was it? Which one was it? Was it the? It was the Hauntology.
Be Kind Rewind. Yeah, Be Kind Rewind. Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. So.
Yep.
For those interested listeners who haven't listened to the Be Kind Rewind episode, we talk a lot about the caretaker and all that hauntological shit. So that's good stuff.
And you get to meet our wives.
Oh yeah, they're on that too. Speaking of
very special episode.
Speaking of wives, Kira is dying to be on the podcast as a guest. So,
okay. Is she going to pick the movie?
She has already told me what the movie is, which is funny because I'm like, I feel like I'm like hesitant to want her on because it's not a surprise to me what movie it'll be.
Well, don't tell it to me, but tell me how I'm going to react to it.
I don't know. I think you're gonna react to it like, oh, okay. That's your reaction. You're just
So it's kind of meh.
I like it. I actually don't know if we've ever talked about it.
Okay. All right. Sweet. I look forward to it.
I think it's something you've watched before, but we'll see. It's likely.
Probably. Chances are good.
All right, Blake. So, yeah. So we've covered the fact that we put in too much effort for this episode. Mm-hmm. Which, if the episode feels a little off, listeners, that's why. It's because we actually put a little extra effort into this one. But Blake, what movies are we going to be watching? Or
well, we are starting the our yearly deep dive into a director or a group of directors if they happen to be related, like in this case the McDonagh brothers, which are not known as the McDonagh brothers but as separate entities that happen to be related by blood, unlike the Coen brothers, who until recently were known as the Coen brothers.
Well, yeah, but I did notice that at least in one of these, one of the brothers, or the other brother who wasn't directing, was involved.
Yes.
In executive producer role. So,
I mean, it's a pretty easy gig, executive producer. You basically just watch it and maybe read the script, and they're like, okay, that works. Of course, they're brothers, so they're like, yeah, that's good, I guess. Do it.
Blake, I have our dream set out for us. We should become executive producers of podcasts. I can't think of anything more low effort than that.
I mean, I would just green light everything.
Yeah. We would just listen to it and just
put my name on it. I don't care.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to talk about how NFTs are the future of globalization, then sign me up.
Yeah, you heard it here. If you are trying to start a podcast and you're looking for two very dedicated executive producers, hit us up, because we will let you use our name.
Yeah, it's true.
Extremely dedicated to that.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah. I mean, even if you could just put Blake Collier and Jamison Barsotti present, that would be awesome.
Absolutely. You could even say that it's part of the Flyby Films universe or podcast verse. Yeah, why not?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Just make sure our names are in there somewhere.
Yeah.
So,
or you know what? Don't. We don't need to be credited. Plagiarism doesn't matter.
Exactly. Fuck it.
Fuck it. We'll just be ghost executive producers.
Yeah. I mean, we've executive produced every podcast out there.
Yeah. Phantomatically.
Pandomatically.
Yeah. Boy, no one saw this except for me, but as soon as Blake started agreeing with the word that I said, but as he started sounding it out, just the face of it was like a mixture of surprise and disgust, like just complete disapproval.
Well, yes, there is that, but also as someone who grew up stuttering back in the early days of his life, there are certain words and or sounds that make me regret starting to say them because it almost reminds me of the days when I used to stutter. And so that one almost got me.
Well, I didn't mean to make you relive trauma there.
It wasn't trauma.
But
No.
okay.
I love stutterers.
Yeah.
I'm super patient with them.
That's cool. That's cool, man. I bet since you have that experience, when was that like in your life?
I want to say probably about 5 to 6 or 7. Basically, when I started getting an actual ability to speak full sentences. So to this day, I still don't know how my parents paid for it. Part of me thinks that we got in on some kind of like research situation, and that's how I got the treatment. But because my parents were poor. Some might even say poor as fuck back in those days. And so I don't think they could have pulled off a consistent therapy for my stuttering at the time. So I think they must have gotten in on the ground floor of some kind of research with the school or something. But the doctor was like, yeah, his brain is just running too fast for his mouth. Like he has to like slow his brain down in order to match. It's like a gear was loose.
Mm-hmm.
It's like this gear was running at full speed, but this one like never could latch on. And so, but yeah.
Neat.
He fixed
So
me.
you figured out how to slow your brain down.
Yep. And it's been slowing down ever since.
Nice. I'm not sure I knew that about you, or at least we never talked about it. So, hey, you learned something new about your podcast hosts.
I usually only talk about it unless it's kind of vaguely tied to something we're talking about. But to get back to the executive producing part, I do want to ask where are we at with this boutique sex shop advertising client?
Oh, I have a update on that.
Oh,
I don't think we're closer to actually getting a sponsorship. So I'm sorry. I don't mean to burst that bubble. But
they don't have to pay us. We would just give them free advertising because it's a boutique sex shop.
Well, I'll give a shout out because I don't think I mentioned the name on the last podcast, but
this is going to be good. I'm waiting for it.
My boss, her name is Emma, and she recently left ex-boss, I guess. She left the company that I was at. The company is called Trupanion, and she started with her husband a boutique sex shop up in the Seattle area. She's from the Bremerton area, so kind of nearby there, if you know things in the Pacific Northwest. But the shop is called Aphrodisia Boutique. So
that wasn't near as exciting as I was hoping it was going to be. But I think it makes sense. Like it's a good name. It's just a little bit too bougie, maybe.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty bougie area, but I think their goal is to be like a less gross sex shop.
But they're still going to have the back room, right?
I actually don't think they're going to have the back room. I think that's like the idea is not having the back room, not bringing that type of energy into a sex shop. So I think that's kind of cool.
What about peep shows?
I don't think they're going to have peep shows, Blake. But yeah, so funny story. After we shouted out something about their business on the last episode, I got a text the Monday that you posted the episode, like, "Hey, thanks for shouting out our podcast." And I was like, what? Like, how did you hear about it? Because I didn't think, or thanks for shouting out our shop on your podcast. I don't know if I might have mangled that. But how did you hear about it? And I was wrapping my brain around, I think because they're trying to start a business, they probably had like a boutique sex shop in a like Google alert. And because you wrote about it in the description, it probably pinged something. Because, you know, these are the things you do. You want to find out where the interest is. And so you have these alerts set up for your business. And so I think that's what happened.
So they want us to advertise for them, is what I'm hearing.
I think we just gave them a bunch of good advertising.
And it's Aphrodisia?
Aphrodisia Boutique.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's in Bremerton?
So
can we get the address?
It's near Bremerton.
Bremerton. Okay.
Bremerton. I think it's Port George or something like that. I don't know my Seattle areas. It's in a like Seattle suburb. So
people, if you're in the Bremerton area of Seattle, just look for the tent poles and follow the tent poles. Okay? It's not that hard. Well, it is that hard.
Well, hopefully, right?
Yeah. No, but seriously, I hope they listen because I really want to advertise their sex boutique.
I think we just did, Blake.
They're not for like reels.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean,
Jamison's face it was a slow death, really. y'all couldn't see it, but I was watching Jamison's face just like slowly just die. It just died.
Well, look, I'm caught in two places. I really like my boss or my ex-boss, and I want her to succeed. But I also want to make jokes about sex shops, but I don't want to make a joke about her business. So
that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah. So,
but I was being completely serious.
Blake, I don't believe you. I just don't believe you.
That's fair. That's fair. I am a unbelievable person a lot of times.
Yeah.
So anyways, we got some business out of the way. Working on sponsorships. What have you been up to? How's your week been, Jamison?
It's been fine. I built a computer just for personal use, and so that went well.
Because you needed one, or for shits and giggles?
For shits and giggles, Blake.
Okay.
Shits and giggles. Yeah, it wasn't work related or anything like that. I haven't had like a PC that can game in a while, and it sounds weird saying that because I doubt I will actually use it to game. But there are some like data science or machine learning projects that I probably will want to do. A couple things on my mind, math related, that I want to explore. So it's just kind of for dumb little projects like that. Having a little bit more powerful computer than a MacBook Air. I was feeling like I was at that point. So
wait,
but
are you talking shit about Mac?
I'm not talking shit about Mac. I just don't have a very powerful Mac. I will talk shit about the fact that if you want to get a powerful Mac, they're really expensive.
Yeah.
So
Incredibly expensive.
So the best course of action is, like, I didn't get the most powerful PC you could want. I got just a mid-tier one, but it's definitely much more capable than what I'm on right now, which is my MacBook Air laptop, which is perfectly serviceable, and I've been able to do a lot of projects on. But this one will just be, more fun, have more capabilities. So,
speaking of, have you heard of this company called Framework?
I've heard about them because you told me about them.
Did I tell you about them?
Wait, is it that website Framework? Maybe I'm getting it next.
So Framework Computers, they basically make laptops that are easily fixed and upgradable by the people who buy them. So, like, the whole thing is to make it as easy as possible for the person who buys the computer to make any changes or fix them. So
that's cool. That's cool.
Now, I've heard, varying reviews about the quality of the material that you use, but you can buy, like, it's interesting because you can buy them for two separate prices. I think the first price is basically all the parts come to you and you put it together yourself, or you can buy it pre-produced. But yeah, pretty cool idea.
That is cool. Yeah, that was actually one thing that I was interested in doing. Was I had never kind of built a computer before on my own, but I figured with the power of YouTube at my side, I could do anything, which is maybe a dangerous proposition, but in this case, it worked out fine. It was, I think my friend, I was telling him about it, and he was like, "Yeah, it's like adult Legos," and that's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
There's so many resources available now that just like there's like this website called PCPartPicker.com that just lists all of the main components that you need. And as you go through kind of picking them out, which is kind of a daunting task because there's a bunch of options and none of them have a consistent like naming scheme, so you don't know like where you're at in anything unless you're already in that world and you've spent a bunch of hours researching what memory sticks are the top of the line ones and how to tell. But what this does is as you go through and pick your parts, it will just kind of filter out the ones that don't work with what you've chosen. So by the time you've picked out everything, like, oh, these will all go together. They're all like, they are all Legos that work together. So
nice. Can you buy like gaming equipment? Like, well, I don't know if they actually use these anymore, but joysticks, like, things of that nature.
That's more peripheral stuff. That would be like kind of in the like keyboards and mouses and things that you would buy for stuff like that. But I think I have a Nintendo Switch and I've got a bunch of controllers for that. And usually you can find different like hardware drivers that can make those things work for the computers that you have. Mm-hmm. So, depending on what games you like to play and what things you like to play, if you have any type of controller, you can probably find some software that makes it work for your computer. So, yeah.
I mean, you know where I like to get my joysticks at?
Where, Blake? Wait.
Aphrodisia in the Bremerton area of Seattle.
But
No, but I haven't built a computer since the clunky ass desktops back in the mid to late 90s. That's the last time I built a computer. And even then, I had someone helping me because I was stupid.
I think they were harder back then too. So not to throw shade on current computers. I'm sure they're great, but I mean that's just the way of technology. Is that not only does the technology get better, but how people kind of approach the technology and the refinement of how it works gets more streamlined.
So you mentioned something before, and this apparently is just going to be an episode of tangents and rabbit holes, but I'm curious about this because it's been on my mind lately. What is your relationship with YouTube? Like, how do you use YouTube? Like, what do you just like pop on to watch one video, or do you follow like rabbit trails, or like what does your usage look like?
My usage is actually really small of YouTube. I think, okay, so this is my relationship. I have two main uses for YouTube, which is I assume that if there's a video I'm looking for or a process that I think has been recorded, that it exists on YouTube. I believe that in my heart. And my soul dies if it's not true. So there's, it's almost
so your soul has never died.
I guess not. And that's part of it is that like this is the way the world works. This is my inductive hypothesis on how I exist. And if it was to fail, it would be like the sun not coming up in the morning,
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah. But, so I use it for that purpose. And then the second purpose that I use it for is it's just my go-to renting place for movies. If I want to rent a movie, if it's not available on streaming services, by streaming services, I mean whatever free streaming services that I subscribe to,
like Tubi,
or anything that the movie would be free even if I pay for the streaming service.
Gotcha. Okay.
So anything that I've already paid for, I try to look up those, and that's what I mean by streaming service. But if a movie's not on there, I'm not going to wait around for that movie to be available on streaming services that I subscribe to. So I generally will go to YouTube at that point and see if it's on there. And I would say 95% of the time, it will be on there. So,
gotcha.
And it's like what, $3-4 to rent it, and it's pretty convenient. So that's my relationship with YouTube. I used to watch a streamer who would upload a video every day of a game that I liked called The Binding of Isaac, and I did not watch it every day by any stretch of the imagination, but I would, like, when I had some free time, I'd be like, oh, this would be an entertaining thing to watch. I forget his name, but he streamed The Binding of Isaac. He was very entertaining, and I think he's still at it. And he was also a very sweet individual. Oh man, I wish I could remember. But he had this streak going where he would play it and he would play it kind of in this random way where he would play a character who got like random powers at the beginning and try not to lose. And he had this really long streak. But yeah. Anyway, that's pretty boring unless you've ever heard of that game.
I'm intrigued by this because you and I, while I think you use it more than I do, I think you and I have similar like relationships to it, because I view it in the same way I view shopping. I have a list. I go into the store, I buy the things on the list, I pay, and I leave. It's the same thing with YouTube. I have a thing I'm looking for. I go there. I watch it. I click out of the browser. I that's the way that YouTube has been for me the last however many years it's been around. I guess 2006, something like that. But I keep hearing about these people who go down rabbit holes towards fascism or white supremacy or some shit like that. And I'm like, are these people like this is a thing? Like, people just watch random algorithm videos after another until they like find themselves in some vague like, cult. I mean, it's so like outside the realm of like any normalcy to me that I'm like, it's hard for me to believe it, but I guess it happens.
Yeah, and I will say, like, I think you're right that like my approach to YouTube is very, very. I go, I look for this thing, I watch that thing, and then I'm out. Every once in a while, if there's another video that's connected to something, I'll click on like watch this. Yeah. But it is always very intentional in that way. And I know what you mean. There is like there's a totally different YouTube user who approaches it almost, and I'll give them some credit, almost as a place of discovery, and they will follow the different trails and be led on the different trails. And I think there's still like a way to do that right, and probably a way to do it wrong, which is, maybe I'll liken it to like channel surfing. So back when we had like cable TV and people like didn't go into a specific streaming service, they would channel surf and they would just, flick onto the next thing and then watch 30 seconds of that, and then flick onto the next thing, watch 30 seconds of that. I mean, you still have like bits and pieces of that with the streaming services now. It's actually really annoying, and it's not as relaxing as channel surfing when you go onto a streaming service and it'll like try to start like a preview of the thing. I hate that, and it's not fun or exciting because it's not seamless. There's stutter stops, and it really ruins that like that concentration that you can establish when you're channel surfing. So if executives at Netflix are listening to this, you really didn't replicate that experience with that. So rethink what you're doing.
But I think I figured out why I use YouTube the way I use it, though. And this is the revelation that's come to me in the last few weeks. Yeah. Is that I think the reason why I'm not one of those YouTube people who just like lets them play endlessly, like move on to the next video, whatever YouTube wants to give me, shove down my gullet, whatever. Like, the reason why I don't do that is because I don't want to pay for me to be able to click my phone off and it still play. And you have to pay to do that. Every time I turn my phone off, it stops playing. And that becomes useless to me. Yeah,
that's true. Like, I I do find that very annoying with YouTube, and you're right. I usually, like, my intentionality is probably in a lot of ways due to that. Because, yeah, if you're listening to something and you want to continue listening to it, but you close out of the YouTube app, it'll stop playing. And, yeah, that's hella annoying.
And I feel sorry for the people who put so much work into the visuals for their YouTube channels. But I don't care, like, what your visuals are. Like, I'm there to hear whatever information you're giving me. I don't care. If I want visuals, I'll watch a movie or TV show. I'm that asshole.
That's fair. As long as you recognize you're the asshole.
Yeah. Oh no, they are completely. They're overtly thoughtful in the way they most of the time they're thoughtful in the way they do their visuals and things like that. Whenever I do watch the videos, I do get a lot out of the visuals. I just ultimately am there for the information, so I don't really care.
Well, and I mean, a lot of YouTube videos are just ways to create audio format for people to, to distribute it. So, and that's fine. Like, there's a lot of albums that you'll go to YouTube for, but yeah. And I have to admit, I have a complicated relationship with YouTube in the sense that I get frustrated that they have so many ads. Yeah. Because, I mean, talk about parasitic. They don't create the content, but they take complete ownership of it as far as like monetizing it. And yeah, there are a few successful cases of YouTube people, but few and far between, and they still, try to monetize everything. So
yeah.
I just
the best thing I've found on YouTube though is that you can find most Adam Curtis documentaries for free on YouTube on his channel, and
very
that's
nice.
The shit. If anyone out there hasn't seen any Adam Curtis documentaries, do yourself a favor and go down one of those rabbit holes.
I'm not sure I've seen any Adam Curtis documentaries, Blake. So, which one should I start with?
Well, the one I've seen most recently is Can't Get You Out of My Head, which is basically about, well, it's about a lot of things, but it deals with like mind control and things like that. But it also goes through a lot of history as far as like conspiracy theory and things like that. It's not like, he's not trying to convince you that conspiracy theories are true. He's more looking at how governments use conspiracies to control the narrative of like politics and things like that. It's really good. And they're like, Can't Get You Out of My Head is like, I think it's like 4 films, and each are like 1.5 to 2 hours. So they're lengthy, but man, the way he cuts his visuals together is just amazing.
I think my friend George would dig this. So
you need to introduce him to Adam Curtis then, if he doesn't already know him.
Okay, I'll bring it up. I'll talk to him about it.
Man, talk about discussing things that have nothing to do with the movies tonight.
Oh, yeah. And, man, it has flown by. I think we're like 40 minutes in, and we haven't... Did we even say what the movies were? We said the McDonagh brothers.
We said the McDonagh brothers. I guess we should explain what we're doing here, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think I think we have a little bit more to bullshit about, but yeah, we could explain the movies.
So, Jamison and I, at some point during the taping of the first season, decided we were going to do like an overarching narrative during the second season, and it was going to involve a director. We would watch their films over the year, and then we'd rank them or something of that, some vague kind of conceit like that. And I don't remember how we got onto the McDonagh brothers as our choice, but I remember it was a pretty solid yes from both of us because we're both fans. And we're like, well, okay, it's two brothers who are separate filmmakers. So they don't really direct together like the Coen brothers do. So we're going to pit them against each other. And we're going to see who the best brother is. And that is the goal. So we're going to do 4 episodes of this because each of them has 4 films. And we've got to do it fast because one of them has a 5th coming out here before too long. But they each have 4. So we're going to watch them, the first films of each director, and then the second films of each director, and so on. So this episode, we are doing the first films, which are in order of release. Martin McDonagh's In Bruges, which is 2008, and The Guard by John Michael McDonagh, which was 2011.
Both of these films star
the great,
the
legend, Brendan Gleeson.
Brendan Gleeson. Yeah.
Yeah.
And this could almost be a Brendan Gleeson film series, too. Because he's in at least... I think I did the count. He's in 50% of the movies. So he's the one that shows up the most.
True.
And then I think Colin Farrell is in 3.
Is he in 3? Yeah, he is in 3. Yep.
He's in 3, and then...
but he's specifically one-sided.
He is all on one side. Rafe Fiennes shows up on both sides.
That's true. Yeah.
And then...
He does.
I'm trying to think. I think that's the order of the most. There is one more. I think there's another person who shows up a lot too.
I'm trying to think through.
We'll keep track of this. We'll keep track of it as it goes through. So.
But there's a lot of stunning people that make their way into these films. But yeah, so we're going to be talking about The Guard and In Bruges, or In Bruges, however you pronounce it.
Blake, have you ever been to Belgium?
No, I have not. Have you been to Belgium?
No, I haven't been to Belgium. Have you been?
Do you want to go after watching this the 3rd, 4th time, however many times you've seen it?
Yeah, you know what? Every time I watch this movie, it makes me want to go to Bruges.
Yeah, exactly.
More and more. Which is really funny because one of the jokes about it is that Bruges is just such a shithole and that no one would enjoy Bruges. And that's just such a running gag throughout In Bruges. But yeah.
Colin Farrell's monologue about being from the farm and retarded and going to Bruges is probably in my top 25 film lines of all time.
Oh, yeah.
I cackle every time he says it. It's amazing.
Yeah. Have you ever been to Ireland?
I have been to Ireland. I went last year.
Oh yeah, I remember we talked about that on the podcast.
On the podcast, we talked about our travails.
Travails. Do you have any interesting anecdotes about your time in Ireland?
So this is tied to I guess technically both films, because in different ways. So if you take In Bruges, you have Colin Farrell, who just wants to be in Dublin his whole life and thinks every other place is a shithole. But then you have The Guard, where you have Brendan Gleeson and the town local people that look down on people from Dublin. And to be honest, I would probably fall in The Guard view of things. Dublin there's like maybe a day and a half of really cool, interesting stuff to see in Dublin. And then after that, it's basically just another city.
Okay.
The rest of the country is absolutely gorgeous. But we spent a lot of time in Dublin because we were thinking, oh, it's Dublin. Well, yeah, you definitely want to spend a lot more time in Dublin because it's the center of Ireland, blah, blah, blah. We kind of wish we had done more traveling around, to be honest. So
I've heard Dublin is the Tulsa of the West. Isn't that what they call it?
I could kind of buy
Ireland
that.
Is the West. Because you have to reorient yourself, even though it's east of us.
Yeah. It's the West of Europe.
Yes.
It's the manifest destiny of Europe.
Yeah. That's why Californians and the Irish get along so well.
Yeah. Yeah. Probably not. Let's be honest. Yeah, Yeah, I'm not I mean, it's cool for a day and a half. After that, meh.
Yeah. Okay. Did you go anywhere outside of Dublin? So
yeah,
you did eventually.
We took 2 days, and we actually almost close to 3 days, and we rented a car, which was on the other side of the road. I refuse to say the wrong side because that's just being, an asshole American who thinks that only his way is right. But
Blake, are we recording this in Ireland right now?
No, we aren't.
Well, I give you permission to be a real American. And
okay, we drove on the wrong side of the road.
Thank you.
And we drove to Galway. We drove to
Galway.
Yeah, Galway.
That shows up. That's going to show up tonight.
Yep. Galway, and then we stopped at some scenic cliffs, and my memory is it's late at night, so I'm losing my memory as far as some of the other places we visited. But yeah, we traveled kind of almost south around the coast, and then up on the western side of the island. We didn't go to Northern Ireland because that requires a extra fee on the car rental because you're crossing a nation.
Yes.
Because it's, because of the issues in good old Ireland. So we didn't get to see any of Northern Ireland, but what we did see of the Republic was absolutely stunning. So I would highly recommend it. Go into Dublin for a day, and then spend most of your time anywhere else.
Okay.
That's what I say.
All right. Kira and I have a goal of getting to Ireland eventually. She's already been when she was 2.
But she's gonna be like a dual citizen, right?
Well, she is. Yeah, she was born in Ireland. She was born in Dublin, and her parents were doing missionary work over there at that time, and then so she was born over there. And when she was 2, they moved back here to California, and it was just enough time for her to become be given citizenship. So yeah.
Does she think Dublin's a shithole?
I think that she was probably pretty bored of Dublin when she left, so I'm gonna say yes. So,
I think that's fair.
Yeah, it didn't really have, it didn't have the amenities for a child of 2 years old. So,
Yeah,
wasn't really...
she probably wasn't terribly interested in reading about the Troubles, was she?
Yeah, I think she would have been if she was like 3 or 4, but yeah, two was a little too young.
It's bit of a steep learning curve at that age.
Yeah,
I'm
sure. I'm guessing Seamus is getting ready to dive into learning about.
Oh yeah, no, he's ready and rearing to go. He's gonna be. We're gonna see which side of the aisle he lands on, because I'm just gonna let him decide. I'm not gonna push him in any direction. If he wants to be an imperial scum, then I guess that's the way it's gonna be. Or he could be a rebellious piece of shit. It doesn't matter. He just needs to pick a side.
Are you gonna write those options out for him, and you're gonna be like, you have to choose imperial scum or rebellious piece of shit? You just have to choose.
That's exactly how I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
In the midst of potty training.
Oh yeah. I feel like rebellious piece of shit probably fits better. But
are you saying my son's a rebellious piece of shit?
No, I'm saying potty training definitely sounds like it's filled with rebellion and shit. So
yeah, definitely shit.
Definitely shit.
Yeah.
So.
Well,
but that's something I'm gonna learn in 2 years or so.
Yeah. Well, he's not quite doing it yet. He still just shits himself and then backs his ass up to us and says, "Poop, poop." So.
At least he lets you know, right?
Yeah. No, he's very much aware of when he shits his pants. There's no question.
I definitely wish my son would tell us that. But he just sits in it, and then if we don't, address it or smell it in a reasonable amount of time, it will start to go everywhere. So. Yep.
Been there, done that.
That's
fun times.
That's the way the shit slips.
Yep. Or runs in some cases.
Or runs. Indeed.
So we do have 2 movies to talk about. Do you think we should actually get into it?
Yeah, let's get into the movies, Blake. Let's get into the movies.
So
I don't know. Sorry.
Go ahead.
How do you want to do this? Because should we talk about each one separately? Should we give a synopsis of each one, or should we just let it roll?
How about you give a synopsis in your own words without looking at anything of In Bruges, and I'll do the same with The Guard.
All right. So here's the synopsis. Synopsis. Synoptic-y, New York. No, synopsis of In Bruges. So In Bruges is a movie about 2 hitmen played by one Colin Farrell and one Brendan Gleeson, who show up in the Belgium city of Bruges and have to stay there for 2 weeks or some indefinite period of time. And they are there because their boss sent them there on some errand. You don't really know about it at first, but then you slowly learn that it is because one of them, the younger hitman, played by Colin Farrell, as we said before, royally fucks up his first hit, which is of a priest. And when he goes to kill the priest is in a doorway, and he shoots him a couple times, and then the priest falls down, and you realize that he has killed a second person because that person was in the way, or was standing behind the priest and actually praying behind the priest. And it ended up that it was a 5-year-old boy. So it's very, very sad. So,
and I might add, very graphic.
It's very graphic. It's very graphic. That's maybe a bit of a spoiler, but it happens in the first 25 minutes, and the film is about grief and guilt, and Bruges kind of takes the place of a purgatory of sorts, and so there's lots of talk about afterlife and what happens next, and all that goodness between these two hitmen. It gets a lot of comparisons to Quentin Tarantino, but I think that's kind of unfair given that Quentin Tarantino doesn't seem to be concerned with redemption at all in any way. And not that this movie...
Or really being serious in any kind of way.
Yeah. And it's not that this movie necessarily gets there, although we can discuss that, but it definitely asks that question and asks how you can relieve your guilt and kind of how you can either live with it or get rid of it or whatever, it's definitely on its mind, and yeah, it plays out from there. So that's it.
So 3 years later, The Guard comes out, also starring Brendan Gleeson and Don Cheadle. Now, if you're like me, you hear those two names in the same title, and you're like, I did not see that coming. Well, that was intentional, because it's basically a fish out of water story where a FBI agent from America goes to Galway and meets up with a guard, or Garda, which is Gaelic for police or policeman, and played by our good man Brendan Gleeson. And Brendan Gleeson is he's not dumb, but he's not smart either. And he's not a bad cop, he's just not a good cop. And so he is unknowingly or unintentionally racist. Like, it's hard to tell, like, if he's intentional in his racism or if he's just oblivious. But he's a character. And you get everything you need to know about the character from the first, like, scene of the movie, where you have these kids crash into, this fatal car wreck with these, 3 or 4 teenagers who are drunk and high off their, and they crash and all of them are dead and one of them's lying on the street and he witnesses it and he goes out and walks and checks their pockets and finds drugs in order to put them in his own pocket and then take it. Uh, and, and at that point you're like, oh, it's this kind of cop. But the story kind of comes about that he finds himself in a place that he neither wants to be in or really has any desire to be in, trying to figure out where this drug smuggling scheme is about to take place in Galway. And and Don Cheadle, the FBI agent from America, comes and is trying to figure out also where these, who these drug smugglers are and why, where they're going to be doing the job. And it's this kind of buddy comedy, but very dark and very Irish. and like In Bruges deals with, although in a completely different way, Irish guilt and maybe a lesser extent redemption, but I would say there's a little bit of redemption in it even. So yeah, there's not the narrative itself is not terribly complicated, but the characters are so well drawn that there's more going on in this movie than you would expect. So I remember watching it close to when it first came out. Probably 2012, 2013. And I didn't remember a whole lot about it. So I must have either not been wasn't paying close attention, or it just was in a different time period of my life and it just didn't hit me the same way. But this time around, I was gobsmacked by it. So, yeah. Had you seen this one? Most people have seen In Bruges.
Yes.
I mean, it kind of had a name for itself when it came out. So
yeah, it was actually nominated for best screenplay, right?
Yeah.
So it got attention, and I think people generally remember it. And in fact, actually, up until recently, I think people thought of it as Martin McDonagh's crowning achievement. But which they still might, because it was a stunning debut.
Yeah,
it's very interesting in that way. I do want to mention, because you had mentioned kind of the funniest part. So both movies are very funny in their own way, in a dark way. And you had mentioned one scene in Bruges that stuck with you. In The Guard, you had talked about that opening scene. And so he takes these drugs off of these kids who get in this wreck, and he actually gets rid of the cocaine because no one wants that. But he sees acid, and that's what he takes.
Yeah,
and then
exactly.
What follows is the funniest scene in the entire movie to me. He just has a terrible trip, and you just see him in bed with the worst trip face ever, just clearly blitzed out of his mind and not having a good time. And it's the funniest thing. It cracks me up.
I'm convinced that only Brendan Gleeson could pull that off.
Yeah. And it just is such a good cut of him taking the acid and then going straight into that, where you're just like, all right, you get a good sense of it.
So you had seen this before?
I actually saw The Guard in theater. I think I saw both of them in theater.
I saw neither in theaters.
I saw both of them at our local indie art house theater in Chico, California, called The Pageant. So
nice.
Lots of movies at the pageant in my movie history. So yeah,
I
gotta
love it.
shout that out. But yeah,
So what was your feeling about it before this time around?
I loved both movies when I first saw them. In Bruges, I don't think I fully comprehended. I'm not sure I still like get everything that happens,
Yeah.
especially the end gets more and more kind of esoteric, and there's some really darkly comic moments in the end, but there's a whole kind of like, it's not quite a dream sequence, but it's kind of a dream-like sequence at the end. And then The Guard, though, The Guard is one of those movies that I saw, and I had that same experience where you were saying, like, it's a pretty, it's a simple story. Drug smuggling, cop, buddy comedy, or buddy, movie. But the characters are so unique and kind of well drawn out that I knew as soon as it ended, I was like, oh, there's more going on in this movie. And The Guard has stuck with me. Like, I think about it frequently. So,
Yeah.
So yeah, both movies were very like formative Jamie movies. So,
So that's why we're doing the McDonagh brothers.
well, I think you also like the McDonagh brothers for various reasons.
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't know if it's these films, but yeah.
I'm not sure if I'd say that they were necessarily formative, but I was on their wavelength from the beginning.
Yeah.
Because anyone who can make me laugh with that amount of violence in it is doing something so like precise with the writing and with the way they're doing the movie. That's a really hard thing to pull off. Usually I either like ultra violent movies that have no humor in them whatsoever, or I like really funny, black comedy, dry wit kind of movies. But someone who can actually put those two things together and still come away with being successful in both areas is compelling to me.
Well,
I think they both do it well.
Yeah, I think one thing we've talked about before is like this idea of like you can have ultra violence in your movies, but if you're a director who shows their hand as like not caring about their characters at all, and I think Quentin Tarantino, for all his abilities, slips into that from time to time, and even has entire movies where he's in that mode.
Looking at you, Hateful Eight.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. He has but like I never get that feeling with the McDonagh brothers. Like, even if not every choice they make is successful, I feel like they care about their characters, and the violence that they inflict on them is with purpose rather than just some sort of flair. I'm sure there are missteps. I'm sure, there are places where we can criticize them. But in general, I definitely feel like that's kind of where they're coming from. So.
Well, and the simple fact that they draw the characters with as much depth as they do shows enough care for the characters in and of itself. And that's what and of course, Martin McDonagh was a
playwright. Yeah.
Playwright long before he was a director. So he wasn't coming to this without some skill. I don't know about John Michael's background. I don't remember him being a playwright or anything like that, but I'm sure they have similar pedigree as far as their creativity coming from the same household and the same background.
And on that note, at least 3 of these movies that we're going to be watching in their entire series would work perfectly as plays. And I think In Bruges is one of them that, and I think that's just due to the fact that it's basically driven by 2 characters,
Yeah.
There are other characters that come in and out, but the majority of the movie is Colin Farrell and Brendan Gleeson just kind of talking, and then it becomes a little bit more. There's a 3rd character that comes into play, but yeah.
So I want to just put our hands out there, just to show our cards, and because I noted this in the introsode description, but we need to figure out who we're rooting for. We need to have strong opinions going into this. So, based off of the first film alone, who are you picking?
All right, so here's how I approach this. I think in the introsode you mentioned we're going to do a ranking of these films. So I actually
sort of.
Yeah. I thought, okay, let's do a ranking, but it can be a mixed ranking where we don't have to put all of one director's in front and all of the others in.
Oh yeah. No.
So right now I figured, okay, I'll start the ranking and then I'll kind of fit in the next movies where they go. And so right now my ranking is The Guard at number 1 and then In Bruges at number 2.
Okay, so what distance are we talking about? Like if if you had the ability to, would you drop In Bruges down to 4 or 5, or would you keep it at 2?
See, I'm not doing that right now. I'm just keeping it at, there's 2 movies, so there's 2 spots. When there's 3 movies, there will be 3 spots, and I'll fit that 3rd movie in.
Yeah. I know that. I know that, but I'm more getting at like how much more do you like The Guard?
Blake, I'm not going to give you the feckin' satisfaction of answering your question
because right now I think we're on the same page.
I don't know.
And I love In Bruges. But this time around, The Guard really got me.
I honestly think The Guard has... I really do feel like The Guard edges out In Bruges. And I'm not just trying to, choose the least popular one, because The Guard is probably the one that's lesser known, but like I said, The Guard has stuck with me, and I keep thinking about that one, and I'll get into that, but yeah, I think it's securely above In Bruges. I don't think it's that close, although they're both up there. I do think that there will be ones that challenge both of these movies coming up, but very much so. We'll get into that, but so based on that, John Michael comes out ahead. right
So,
now.
but we also need to point out, like, you've seen all the movies before, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you've seen all 8 movies at some point.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so it's the same here. But I think we do need to point out that going into a series like this, there's a clear front runner of the two brothers as far as the critical appraisal goes.
Well, yeah.
Like this, like the next film in John Michael's filmography is probably the only one most people can name.
That's true. That's true.
Whereas there's only one movie in Martin McDonagh's catalog that most people couldn't name.
And that's going to be the next one.
The next one, yes.
No, and that's true. Like, I think we're going to see a flip as far as, right now we're kind of going into a Martin McDonagh dip. I don't want to say dip because I actually want to approach these movies as if I haven't seen them before, as much as I can. I'm actually really excited to rewatch Seven Psychopaths because I think that one, it's been the most time since I've seen that one.
Yeah.
And
so I just want you to know, going into this viewing of Seven Psychopaths, I held it over In Bruges.
Okay.
I think it's a tougher movie to watch, but I think it pays off.
I remember feeling that way too, that it did pay off. Whether or not I think it's better than In Bruges, I'm not sure. My wife actually really likes that movie, so
yeah.
So I'll be curious to kind of talk about Seven Psychopaths with her.
But it's also going up against a movie that has a pretty good shot at taking the top spot for probably both of us.
Yeah, that's true. Not showing our cards too much, but the next John Michael McDonagh movie is,
it's a holy shit.
It's quite a stunning movie. But with that being said, John Michael, after that movie, takes a turn. I'm not going to call it a bad turn, but he gets weird.
Takes a turn. Yes.
His next movies are different.
The War on Everything.
War on Everything and The Forgiven.
The Forgiven, yeah.
And it'll be interesting to watch those in light of having watched his other movies so soon, too.
Whereas when he takes a turn for the weird, Martin McDonagh goes down in infamy.
Yeah, but he also gets more critical appraisal, too.
Yes.
At that time.
He does, and then he goes into infamy.
Yeah, this is true.
And then the fourth film, he goes right back up.
Yeah. But this is for a later podcast.
Yeah, but this is the fun, because who knows? We may end up liking some of these films or hating them. You never know.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of rewatching films.
Blake, there was one theme that I feel like is kind of persistent through these movies that I wanted to talk to you about.
Okay.
And it was just on my mind. But it was honor versus love. I feel like in both movies, you had these themes kind of almost at odds with each other too.
Yeah.
And I guess I was just curious how you saw them play out, because that was one thing that stuck with me. So like, I'll talk a little bit about it. So in Bruges, you have at one point you realize that killing a 5-year-old boy, even if it was a mistake, is a bridge too far, and it's a bridge too far not just for Colin Farrell, who decides he's going to kill himself because he can't handle the grief, but it's also a bridge too far for their employer, who is played by Ralph Fiennes, Harry, and Harry decides that if you kill a 5-year-old boy, you should blow your brains out immediately. And that is the rule. That is the honorable thing to do. That is what you do. And then in the middle, you have Brendan Gleeson's character, who owes his life to Harry because Harry, using his honor, was there for Brendan Gleeson when Brendan Gleeson's wife was attacked and murdered, and was able to use, revenge to comfort Brendan Gleeson's character. So he tasks Brendan Gleeson with killing Colin Farrell. But then Brendan Gleeson has a lapse of honor because he has this act of love that flows out from him, where he doesn't kill he doesn't kill Colin Farrell's character, and he tries to get him outside of Bruges, which
he has some affection for Colin Farrell's character.
Yeah. And he unsuccessfully tries to get him out of Bruges. Again, Bruges being, this type of purgatory. That you can never escape. That would actually be a really fun theme sometime, because I love these movies where there's a place that a character just can't escape from. There's this one from the 90s with Nicolas Cage called Red Rock West.
I've seen that.
Yeah, it's like the name of the town in the movie that he just can't escape from. He just keeps ending up back. And then, another one that I'm thinking of is like Groundhog Day. That would be, classic.
Or Identity.
Identity, that's another good one.
The motel. Yeah.
The motel, yeah. That would be a fun, fun little jaunt to watch a bunch of those movies and kind of talk about the inescapability. But
film as purgatory.
Film as purgatory. Getting away. So you have this kind of this honor versus love clash in a way, and I think maybe not quite a clash in The Guard, but you definitely have a character who would not be described as honorable in any sort of way. But I think the redeeming quality is his love for the people around him. And I think you're at, so he's a guard, which you would think like, the thing that makes a guard good is their, or a police officer is their honor, their adherence to the law. And that isn't the case. And then the movie, kind of pushes you into this corner where it asks you, like, was he a good guard because he had this love, for his community, for his mother, all these things. So
well,
anyway,
not only that, but you see what happens to the quote unquote honorable guards, who are clearly helping out the bad guys. It's like, so yeah, who, like, what is honor if, like, is it performative honor? Like,
it's interesting, and I do have a question for you. So, like, there's a scene where where the drug smugglers try to bribe him, and he doesn't get bribe. He doesn't take the bribe, but do you think he wouldn't take the bribe in any context? Or do you think it was just that context? Like, I'm wondering, because again, I guess I'm going with this theory about honor versus love. And by that point, he's seen that these people are trying to hurt his community. They've inflicted pain, onto a rookie cop. They've inflicted pain onto that rookie cop's wife. They've inflicted pain onto this prostitute that he's very fond of, and my thought is that that's the reason why he doesn't take the bribe, because he would then owe himself to them. He would have to agree with what they're doing, and he doesn't agree with that. But based on the first scene that we watched, I don't think he has an issue taking bribes. He maybe.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't know. Like, I actually struggled to see him as someone who would take a bribe. Not because I don't think he wouldn't do any number of other less than honorable things. But I think bribery strikes me as counter his character, and that it's below him.
Mm-hmm.
He sees it as cheap. Matter of fact, that scene that you're talking about, where one of the smugglers is trying to bribe him and is basically, threatening him to, release all this information, the picture and whatnot that they took during their last foray into sexual pleasure. And what does he say right after the guy leaves, after the threat? He's more concerned about the headache that his float or his milkshake has given him. I laughed so hard at that scene because he's not afraid. He's like,
yeah,
what have I got? Like, who gives a shit? Like, show everyone. I don't care. Like,
yeah, it is funny because, like, I think at that point, like, well, the blackmail isn't going to work. Like,
no.
He doesn't care if the people know that he uses prostitutes. Like, he almost flaunts that around.
Yeah.
Like, he, like, meets them at the train station, and they're clearly, like, from an escort service, and everyone around can see that. It's not a clandestine thing,
And he's in this, like, semi, like, 70s style suit. And,
yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it is interesting. And maybe you're right. I do think that there was definitely something about the bribe that bothered him, just in the fact that they thought they could own him,
Yeah.
And he was very much, maybe he wasn't the smartest person, but he knew who he was, and he was willing to be that, all the way through. But yeah.
I would go so far to kind of carry on with this thematic element is I would go so far as to say that I think the reason why the guard is slightly better in my estimation on this watch is because In Bruges is almost a little bit too on the nose with that dichotomy.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas we're clearly struggling to cut that delineation with the guard. It's there. I think you can make a case, but it's a little bit messier.
Yeah.
Whereas in Bruges, it's pretty fucking clear by the end of it, which, you know, and these are I read the 2 Roger Ebert reviews of these 2 movies, and which they both got high praise from Ebert, for good reason. And he noted that the final 2 deaths in Bruges were meaningful in the sense that one of them was sacrificial in theory ish. I think he used the words the 2 deaths at the 2 final deaths of In Bruges were ethical deaths. Because of Brendan Gleeson tossing himself out of the tower as almost a warning to Colin Farrell that their boss is in town. And then, of course, Rafe Fiennes blowing his own head off after he thinks he killed a child, which was actually just a little person. And which was principled. It's an ethical choice. He was a man of his principle, which is honorable. but like I said, one's honorable, one's done out of love. And it's very clear. It's a clear delineation.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and I think the movie definitely takes a side too on which death is more meaningful, because again, getting back to the reason why Rafe Fiennes uses his blows his brains out, it's because he thinks he's doing something that he's not doing. So he's completely blinded. Although there is also a mistake that Brendan Gleeson's character makes, which made me laugh really hard this time, which was very awkward because it's a very serious scene. But Brendan Gleeson tries to take his gun with him, so he can give it to Colin Farrell, so Colin Farrell can use it to defend himself. But he jumps out of a tower, and the gun just gets smashed to pieces. And I was just thinking, like, you didn't see that coming, like. And it made me laugh this time around. But then, the whole mood of the movie is very serious at that point. So,
but that's exactly what the McDonaghs do so well.
Yeah,
is that they create vivid characters in really strange contexts and very awkward predicaments where you don't know whether you should look away or laugh. and you're simultaneously wanting to do both.
Absolutely.
And that can be super powerful.
Yeah. Yeah. So Blake, did you have any more thoughts on these movies?
Oh, I mean, I have tons of thoughts about these movies, but
sorry,
but none that are. I mean, none that I could actually like breathe out in the same way you just led us into that discussion of love and honor. I mean, come on now, bro.
Well,
bring in the heat, man.
Bring in the heat with love and honor.
I didn't see that coming.
Yeah, I like to hide a few of those, catch you by surprise.
Yeah, I mean, you did well. You did well. Now, I do want to point out that there is, while In Bruges is a little bit more maybe ethereal in some ways, especially with the cinematography. I would say that the Guard and In Bruges both have a very similar personality, and they are very Irish films.
Yes.
They are films that could not have been written by anyone who wasn't Irish, I would presume. So, there's probably a lot going on in the kind of extra textual elements of both films that are very tied to Irish culture and history that we puny Americans don't comprehend. But I'm sure everything about Ireland is tied to a long and violent history. So it makes sense that Irish filmmakers would be using violence in unique ways.
Yeah, and I think that'll continue.
Very much so.
Throughout the series, and maybe become a little more explicit in one of the movies in the ties to Ireland.
Yeah. Well, and they particularly like head wounds, I've noticed.
I'm trying to think, yeah.
Or at least gunshots to the upper part of the body, if not the head.
Yeah. Oh, I just realized there is another person who's been in 3 of their movies. Caleb Landry Jones.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So
also known as the brother in Get Out.
Oh yes, yeah. And he's crossed over between both of them. So.
Yep. So here's a question for you. Did you think that the little person in Bruges was Peter Dinklage?
No, I didn't, because I looked that up before, and I've
spent my whole life watching these films thinking that was Peter Dinklage, and I was today years old when I realized it was not Peter Dinklage.
Wait, today, like being the day after you watched it,
like an hour before we started recording.
Oh,
I did not know that it was not Peter Dinklage.
I think when I first watched it, I wasn't really aware who Peter Dinklage was. Like, I don't think I put that name to an actor. Whereas now I can.
Yeah.
So I didn't ever associate it with Peter Dinklage. And I think when I rewatched it, I had an idea of what Peter Dinklage looked like. And I was like, that's not Peter Dinklage. But I don't remember. I don't remember.
You couldn't have proven it by me. Because all last night I was like, good old Peter Dinklage. Good actor, that one. Sure enough, I was reading a Roger Ebert review, and he drops the actor who played the little person in Bruges, and I was like, what the fuck?
Good old Roger Ebert giving us knowledge bombs.
Oh, man. I tell you what. I also wanted to point out how fucking good Brendan Gleeson is.
So good. So good.
I mean, and this is the area where I think, and I have my qualms with Roger Ebert as a movie critic, but man, when he's right, he's dead right. and the thing that ties both reviews of these movies together is his absolutely unabashed love of Brendan Gleeson. I mean, the way he describes Gleeson in both reviews is just utter adoration.
I need to revisit these reviews because I didn't read them in preparation for this, but I remember having read them.
Yeah.
But yeah. Oh.
Yeah, you should read them because it's nearing man love.
Nice.
How much he adores Brendan Gleeson.
Brendan Gleeson is just such a solid actor. Like, I don't think there's a role that I think he's never bad, and he always elevates the movie. Like,
yeah. I think the first time I became aware of him as an actor was, funny enough, The Village.
Okay.
Which he has a pretty minor role in it, but he's a character that I always remember in that film for whatever reason. And I remember he clocked onto my radar after that movie. And then from that point on, every time I saw him, I was like, damn, he's good.
Is Dom Hall also in that movie? In The Village? Or
maybe?
Domhnall Gleeson is his son, who is going to show up in the next round of McDonagh movies.
Yes.
So,
and who is also very good.
Yes.
Perhaps not as good.
I think we can say he is not as good as his father, but he is very good. And you know what?
He is very good.
Children surpass their parents eventually, so maybe someday. Who knows?
Yeah. I'd rather watch him than a lot of the famous ones these days.
Yeah. But yeah, I think Kira and I recently watched some show that he was in where he was like...
Was it the one where he's the psychopath who locks Steve Carell to a chair or something?
Yes. Yeah. So Steve Carell is a psychiatrist, and he is his patient. So
yeah.
I don't know if I remember much of it, but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair. That is fair.
Yeah, I'm looking at Brendan Gleeson's movies, and I just don't see a bad one. I mean, I didn't see Assassin's Creed, so I don't know. Maybe that's a bad movie, but...
But even then, he would have been great in it.
Yeah. Yeah. I
actually think he should be the next James Bond.
That would be great. Just have a series of movies where James Bond is, like, retired.
Yeah, exactly.
That would actually be a really good idea. Take it to a different level. But I doubt it would sell out theaters in the same way.
No, it wouldn't. No, not at all. Yeah. Did you have any other parting thoughts?
No, but I'm excited to continue this series where we explore the McDonagh brothers.
Yeah, so it'll probably be another few episodes before we do the next round. I feel like we waited a little bit longer than we probably should have for this one, but that was on me because I'm really bad at scheduling. And because we really probably should have done it probably March, something like that. But I think I miscalculated because math is not my strong suit. This is why you should be doing it, Jamison. You should be scheduling.
Well, let's do the calculation right now on the fly. So we have 3 more episodes in the series. It's June right now. If we do 1 in July, 1 in August, 1 in September, then that's perfect timing for us to do our Halloween series, whatever that is, which I don't think we've discussed yet.
Well, I think we did toss out one idea in a former episode.
So I had an idea the other day, and I don't know if I shared it with you. So maybe it's the same one. I don't know. What was the idea?
Well, I know at one point we talked about doing found footage, like pre-Blair Witch found footage. Like the McPherson tape or
Ghost Watch.
Yeah. I know we talked about that, but that's the only thing I recall.
That is a good idea. The other idea that I had, and I don't think I shared this with you, is doing the Asylum movies.
Oh, God.
For those not in the know, the Asylum, they're most famous for doing the Sharknado movies. But, of course, we would choose their other movies, which are just ripoffs of
Bottom of the barrel.
Bottom of the barrel. But they're like, instead of the War of the Worlds, it's like Earth Battle or something like that. They just have tons of shit like that. Anyway, I was thinking that would be fun to explore, but I do like the found footage. That would
be more fitting for us.
Found footage sounds more fun. So
yes, I think we would go less crazy with found footage.
Yeah. But what I'm thinking is maybe we should try to aim for 1 McDonagh episode every month starting now. So maybe that zooms it up a little bit sooner.
Beautiful.
All right.
And then I did recall, I don't know if this is on air. I think it might have been. But I swore on my life I was going to get one of the McDonaghs to come on the podcast. And Jamison, do you know how serious I take this?
With the utmost seriousness.
Yes. If I fail at this task, I'm going to go into my backyard, put a gun in my mouth, and just end it.
You mean the podcast?
I'm a man of principle. No, I was talking about my cat, but...
Ooh.
No,
what did your cat ever do? Atticus, get out of there.
Yeah. He didn't do anything. I'm just kidding.
I know.
No, but I am aiming to get at least one of them on. I would imagine John Michael is probably our best shot, just because he's not in the midst of critical acclaim and Oscar nominees and shit like that. Which, by the way, Banshee should have won. Just saying.
I was happy with the movie that won. Banshees didn't need it. It didn't need it.
It didn't need it, but it should have won.
All right.
Yeah, so yeah, that's the plan. We'll do one of these for the next 3 months, and we'll finally decide who the best brother is.
Yep.
And then if we get one of them on, we're going to tell them who the best brother is.
Yeah.
Once and for all. So they can just put that baby to bed.
And if it's them, we'll give them an award with their name on it. And if it's
Yep.
not them, we'll give them an award with their brother's name on it to give.
Yes. Exactly. I think that sounds like a plan.
Okay, cool. All right, Blake. Well, it was great talking to you about these movies, but I think I'm going to go to bed now.
You know, I think I'm going to go to bed as well.
All right. Sleep well.
On that note, sleep tight, little one.